They say all men are created equal.
Shot! Master!
I pull out the Glock. Full of suffering, succotash, son.
One of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass.
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Too Sweet with Lucy and Estelle. Our subscribers have basically, more than doubled since less than 2 weeks ago. So thank you so much, and hello to everyone who may be new or returning viewers slash listeners. And yeah, we're less than 2 weeks removed from All In, but All Out is this weekend. So this episode we're going to cover our predictions for that. I'm still mentally in Wembley, so yeah. But that's what we're going to do today. But we're also going to run through Dynamite, and Dynamite was, for me, it went really fast. It was so packed. It just seemed to go by so fast.
Yeah, there wasn't really any filler content. Everything
Yeah.
it was a go home show, which I had to keep remembering because like you say, oh my God, All Out this Saturday, what the hell? But other than I guess you could say Jamie Hayter in her squash match, everything was intentional for the pay-per-view. So yeah, it did go pretty fast, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, well, we'll get into it, but it was, the end, it just, I don't want to skip to the end, but the end just made it just amazing. But let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, so from the top, this was hot as well. And I think another thing that made it go so fast is not only is it things that are relevant, obviously, to the pay-per-view, it's a go-home show, but it's just how hot these feuds are.
Yeah.
For this
So
for the
true.
follow-up pay-per-view. And something I've been thinking about is All In, All Out. All In's kind of this ceremony, this celebration almost of wrestling, it feels like. The Christmas of wrestling. But All Out is kind of the fallout from that, and All Out is always more darker. It's always more bloodier. It's back on home soil, and it's straightening out anything that hasn't been wrapped up at All In, and it really does work. I know it's another pay-per-view. Not that's a complaint. Oh my God, another pay-per-view, but they really work really well together. For a while, I was quite I'm not set on this. I don't know. It's just one of Tony Khan's weird traditions, but I think it totally works.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right because you saying that it's sort of All Out is the darker side to it. It's the evil twin sort of thing, or the ugly side. Yeah, it's they're parallel to each other. You get the clean, slick, the public image of All In. And that's not to say there wasn't gritty feuds in that, because of course there was. But then it's you even just compare the logos of the two, and they're so different. All Out is it's rugged and it's dark, and yeah, that is very interesting. That's a really interesting point. I've not thought of that before, but I totally agree.
Yeah, and so interesting to think as well that a year ago, CM Punk being fired, I think it was a few days ago actually, that we passed the year mark of that.
Yeah.
Crazy to think a whole year's gone by, and how this whole year really has kind of been trying to reclaim and rebuild up AEW, because CM Punk leaving was such a blow. It was it was almost I won't say the straw that broke the camel's back, but just very, very nearly, because CM Punk leaving wasn't what made the product turn away the viewership and be, him running Collision and his ego backstage. He's not entirely to blame for all the issues in AEW. There was many other things, but that was kind of, the catalyst to it. So it's really interesting this year. And then you look at the card that we've got for All Out and how solid it is, and all the new talent, and this episode, which was very storyline based, and just how the product as well, week to week, how it follows similar beats. explosive opening promo, then we always get the big match at the start, and then we've always got bloody Conglomeration Matt Briscoe
Yeah.
promo. Just but it's really working. It's really kind of found its rhythm. So
Yeah.
just I don't know, just taking a look back and looking at the bigger picture, really.
Yeah, totally agree with you. It is interesting, but it is, and sometimes it doesn't work when you try and make things maybe this, so I don't want to say formula, because I don't think that's the right word, but like following this pattern, sometimes that doesn't work, but it is working at the moment.
Yeah, I think they're kind of in like a fragile position where they just need to like reclaim that identity. Because, like I say,
Yeah.
when CM Punk left a year ago, that identity was really fractured, and him leaving, and I've kind of gone a bit of a tangent now, but brawl out, brawl in, whatever, all that. It it really exposed AEW, and the only person that came out of that unscathed was Kenny Omega, and they're still
Yeah.
picking up the pieces of that with
So true.
the presence of the elite on TV and Jack Perry, and whether you think that works, whether you think that doesn't, is entirely your perspective. But yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy to look back and think about. But yeah, my point being like consistency is probably the most important thing. So yeah, like I agree. Formulaic, SmackDown, Teddy Long, take on the Undertaker, all that, and the
Not to
mixed
that
bloody
extent.
tags of
Mm.
fucking Raw main event circa mid 2010s. But I think right now, identity is like the biggest thing, and being sure of that identity, and then
Yeah.
no one,
Rebuilding the
no one can,
reputation.
yeah, no one can look from the outside who doesn't watch AEW and say this is what AEW is about, because they're proving them like wrong, and it's just, yeah, I don't know whether I'm like expressing this point well.
No, you're totally right. You're 100% right. It's all about rebuilding the reputation, and I feel like people at this point who slag off AEW, probably just people who don't actually watch it, like week to week. We, it's it is good television. It's good wrestling. It is, but people have these preconceived notions because of stuff that's happened before. So if you're not willing to give it that chance, then then fine, have that idea in your head. But if you're gonna watch it week on week, it's a solid product, Dynamite.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so we'll dive into that solid product right
Yeah.
now, because I probably would just talk about this forever. So Daniel Garcia, he comes out and he is heated. He says patience is a virtue, and I want to break your neck now. Um,
Not feeling
MJF is
very
up in the
virtuous.
stands. No. MJF is up in the stands. He's in his suit. He doesn't want to ruin their match. Um, and leave him with any excuses like he's injured or whatever, which like it is heelish to always almost cook the crowd, as it were, to be like, I'm not going to wrestle in your city. But is it truly heelish? Because like that's such a fair point. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
let's
right.
protect ourselves for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Love the logic.
Yeah, it's completely rational. I mean, it's like, yeah, good point. You are right.
He doesn't attack people from behind like a coward, great line. And the girls were catty in this segment. We had Daniel Garcia looks like an emaciated meth head hooked up on Ozempic. And Daniel Garcia attacked his hairline and
Hair
his fake
transplant.
tan. Yeah,
Mm.
his hair transplant, his turkey hair transplant that
Yeah,
didn't
we had
work. It
a
was
hair
very
transplant
catty.
chant. Might be a first in wrestling.
And this crowd was fucking great as well. Like, kudos to this crowd, especially after last week's shenanigans. It was great to
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
see a great Dynamite in front of a great crowd. So Milwaukee, hats off to you.
we'll come back.
Um, yeah, we'll come back. We'll bleed that market dry. Um, and he talks about his fake love for AEW. Obviously, he's got the tattoo. Uh,
Apparently,
he
it's a fake
signed.
tattoo.
It's a
What do you
fake
think?
tattoo.
Do you think it's fake?
No,
No.
no. I don't think that tattoo necessarily means though that he's like an AEW lifer. I just think it means that he's like in his headspace right now, he sees himself as an AEW lifer, but I don't necessarily think that in like 10 years' time that means, oh my God, he got this tattoo, so he's 100% gonna be in AEW forever. Like some people seem to have thought when he got the
Yeah.
tattoo.
It's more about like the
The
effect it's had in
sentiment.
his life, isn't it? It's like bet on yourself.
Yeah.
It's like it's starting wrestling like big break type of thing, but people are gonna take that
Yeah.
shit literally.
Yeah, so Garcia wants him to suffer. He wants him to find a wife, have a baby, and think about him. And I was going to say that he was a wrestler until Daniel Garcia ruined his career. That was a hard line. And MJF was like, I did you a favor. I was their favorite. Um, and the more you rise up, the more people want to watch you fall, which is very true. He talked about the fickleness of
Mm.
pro wrestling fans,
Something we've
which
talked about a lot.
yeah, verbatim. Um, so this was really awesome. Like the talking part was just like the pro part. This was just sick. I thought like really, it's difficult to maintain the tension and the hatred week in week out to the degree that they have because like it's like they've climaxed and they just have not come down from that climax. Like they have
Yeah,
committed week on week to their performance and to like
yeah,
their dedication to it.
yeah. They've
It's
maintained it, haven't they?
it's really great, and Daniel Garcia continues to look like a fucking star throughout all this. So it's great to
Yeah,
see him rise up to the occasion.
I completely agree. I thought that, to be honest, I thought that Daniel fucking cooked MJF in this. I'm not gonna lie, like I thought that he just came out looking so much better. I mean, that's the point. He's the face. He's meant to be the one getting the one up. But I thought that his promo was just better, like regardless of heel or face. I felt, I love MJF. I really do. I think he's great. But I did feel like his first part of this promo, like that we've just talked about, I don't know, it was just a bit weak to me. He's just like not weak, but resorting back to the same old sort of slut shaming a woman who's not even involved to try and get at the guy sort of thing. I don't know, it's just like he did this with Osprey as well. And he didn't really say anything to the apart like he didn't really say anything where I was like, ooh, sick burn. Whereas like pretty much everything Daniel Garcia said, I was like you had the crowd reacting and it was a pretty cold line, but I didn't really get that from MJF. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just being picky. And I do really like MJF, but that's just a little gripe I have.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the promo. Like I what didn't feel like nitpicky about it, but I know a lot of people have recently felt like called out MJF's promo. Like for ages he was the greatest promo in the business, and then now some people have called on like the staleness of
Yeah.
like his promo. So I know that's like a common sentiment that's kind of circulating around. So I don't think like you're the only one who sort
Yeah.
of feels like that. For me,
I'm
like it works, like it still works. But I
yeah.
think, the interesting part about all this and about his character is that he wants to be, it comes from a place of insecurity. He was their
Hmm.
favorite, then Osprey came in and he gave his heart and soul to the company. He wrestled while he was injured. He wrestled till he couldn't anymore. He carried it on his back during, like we're talking about, that really fucking tough year in between All Out to All Out. Um,
Hmm.
him being champion during the majority of that year. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the more interesting part about it and the nuance is that insecurity and that sort of wanting to be loved, but he's still his character and the way I guess like he's trying to present himself is still having his wall up. Like he's kind of giving glimpses behind it, but it's
Yeah.
still like wall up with the old stick. So I think it's like
Yeah.
semi-intentional, and I think like going forward, like his character's going to progress either darker or like maybe we'll see some more vulnerability. I don't know. It depends like how the feud ends, I guess, and who he goes on to face next.
Mm.
But I think, yeah,
True.
I think like you're totally fair in saying and feeling that, but I don't think like it's like a permanent a permanent thing, you know. I think, you know, Chris Jericho thinks he's the master of reinvention, but I think, you know, I'd
Mm,
give it to Max, but it's
yeah,
hard though. It's like it's part of like what he says is like being on top. Like the more you're on top, the more you're overexposed, the more people like get
they're gonna pick
tired of
holes in
like
it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But no, like I totally I totally think like you're relevant in saying and feeling that way about it.
Yeah, I think that you're right that like it is. I love the nuances in his character, and I think he's great at that. And I think, it's part of the character to be this scumbag and to take these cheap shots, of course. And I hope that, like, I don't know, like subconsciously, I've not maybe like seen people's criticism and sort of like
Yeah,
internalize
got in
that
that
in a
like
way.
negative feedback loop
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, because obviously I try and I don't, obviously you form your own opinions and everyone inevitably are going to read other people's opinions, and it's whether you're affected by that or not depends what sort of person you are. I don't know whether I've maybe seen the criticism and been like, oh shit, you're kind of right. I don't know, it's a weird sort of internal dilemma where it's like I love Max, but I definitely just felt that this, I don't know, just didn't think this promo was his best. But I'm not saying
Yeah.
he's shit, he sucks at promos now. It's just
It's
a
almost like it's
little bit of
become
an
a bit of like a
observation.
caricature almost. Like there's
Mm,
memes that sort of go around, like there's one
yeah.
you know, when the Ricochet one, like Ricochet, and he's like,
Yes.
your wife's a ring announcer. I can make her say my name outside of the ring or some bullshit like that, like a meme
Yeah.
like that. It's almost like a caricature of itself. But I think something that's kind of made me see Max differently was something I saw online, which is I've kind of always compared Max to his character to like The Rock with like his promo and the way he tries to emulate that. But then someone compared him to Ric Flair, and I was like, actually, like you're so right. Like he's so maybe
Mm,
more of a Ric Flair than a Rock, like in his influence and stuff. Um,
interesting. Yeah.
especially as a heel in
Hmm.
his sort of promos and tendencies and cheap heat and
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that and the showboating. I'm like, oh God, you're right. He's more of like a Ric Flair man. But anyway, let's get into this awesome like chase. This scene was one of like the best, like, you know, you see this time and time again of like wrestlers taking out security guards to
Mm,
get to like the other person or pull apart brawls. This was fucking awesome. This looked like something out of like a movie with like a stunt actor. Daniel Garcia, obviously MJF's up in the stands, so Garcia just runs through the crowd. He's super kicking. He's just anyone that's in his way, just I don't know. I just thought
taking them
it was
out.
so cool, Jackie Chan-esque. Uh, but yeah, and he comes and he approaches Max, and as he does, Max just smashes a bottle over his head, and the timing and
Yeah.
everything about it was just fucking perfect. And then as Gassi is bleeding out on the floor again, we get that mirror image of MJF cradling him. He's bleeding from the crown, and he kisses him on the head. He's got the blood in his mouth, and he's grateful for him awakening him. And
Yeah.
yeah, like come Saturday, he's gonna take him to paradise.
I liked this bit of the promo. I thought this was like his strengths, like what Jeff is really good at. I like this bit. It was like thought provoking and it was a bit dark, and yeah, I thought this was really good. And like the blood on his face, stunning. Disgusting, but you know, stunning in a sick kind of way that you can only really get in wrestling.
Yeah, and it's just like that momentum because you're so excited because you know like Daniel Garcia is pissed. Like, yeah, he's the
Yeah.
face, but on Saturday he's gonna hold no mercy. Like, I believe
Hmm.
this man when he's like, I'm gonna break your fucking neck, especially
Yeah.
now. I'm like, holy shit, like I'm kind of scared for you, Max, you know? Um,
Especially
really,
after
really
what Max
solid.
did to him and like all the stuff they've
Yeah,
already done.
this is like on top of that.
Hmm.
For sure, like definitely one of the matches that I'm most looking forward to.
Hmm.
And it's insane because this is also the same card that we've got the steel cage blood feud match with Hangman and Swerve. And bloody Daniel Garcia and MJF have cooked up this blood feud in like a month or so.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, that it really is a testament to how good they've been at the storytelling.
Yeah. So then, as I said earlier, we moved on to the conglomeration, and Osprey, and they were backstage with Renee, also with Willow. And yeah, they had a six-man tag later on. And they were asking Matt Briscoe for advice, and he kind of gave his words of wisdom. I really enjoyed Kyle O'Reilly imitating the phone
Yeah,
call.
I saw that. I freaking loved that. It was so funny. Like he was mouthing it like he knew what. Oh, it was spot on. So funny.
Kyle was loving it this week. He was like dancing as well, like in the ring when they were like making the entrances. He was just
He's having
living
a
his
ball.
best life. And you know what? It's lovely to see, like after being out for so long and not being able to
Yeah,
wrestle, like God
yeah, he
bless.
deserved it.
Next up, we got Okada versus Cal Fletcher. I was hyped as soon as this was announced. I was like, we are cooking. And the reception from the crowd, you would have thought this was like, I don't know, like a bloody dream match that's been
Yeah,
years in the making.
yeah, right. Like holy shit! It's like okay, this is what we're doing. Yeah, the crowd reacted like this was like a pay-per-view level feud. Yeah, it was really nice for them both. Obviously, like they both. It's not to say they both deserve it. I'm like reacting like I'm surprised at that because of course,
Yeah.
as we saw, it was an amazing match. But didn't quite expect that reaction. But it's a pleasant surprise. It's a good surprise.
Yeah, like when other people share like your excitement. Like,
Yeah,
whew, I didn't know you felt like that, guys. But this was great. Kyle was like zealous. He was like the fired up babyface with something to prove. And he didn't go down easy the whole match. I mean, to win a card, I had to resort to a low blow and then the
mm,
Rainmaker, but the whole match, the high flying, everything about it, the pace was
big spots.
fantastic. And I credit to Kyle for winning the crowd over to such a huge extent. Like he's always been over Aussie Open, a lot of people of that tag team, but he has gotten himself over just from good wrestling. Like just
That's
from
so
wrestling
true.
week on week. Not even necessarily on Dynamite, like a lot of it on Collision. Just
Yeah.
one-on-one great matches. With very little promo, very little like I don't know, like he obviously he's got Callis in his corner and he could have gained like a lot of heat from having Callis like be his manager and do
Yeah.
those kind of similar to what like they did with Takeshita when he was first with the Callis family. But yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. But I'm really happy that he's got himself over in such a way.
Yeah, it's something about the Don Callis family. It's like they're healed, but why? But everyone loves them so much, and it's like maybe we need to thank Don Callis and not boo him. You know, he's bringing us these talents and these great matches. But I know, yeah, I completely agree. The that brain buster on the barrier in particular stood out to me. That was brutal. That was brutal. I mean, they were
Yeah, and then the
wrestling like just
cannonball that
throwing,
he did after that.
yeah, just throwing all caution to the wind. And Okada as well, just being hilarious. I loved it when he did the Aussie with the shots in the corner. It was so funny. Like it's just something
Yeah.
about his comedic timing and like everything about him. It's just more funny than if any other wrestler did that. It wouldn't be that funny. He's because
Yeah.
he's so deadpan about it. I think that's why it works really well.
Okay, like the start when he just was no selling
Yeah,
the crowd's hyped reaction. He was just like, really? Um, and yeah, like I say, he had to win. To win, he had to cheat. Because the ending of this match was fucking fantastic. Like the last few minutes.
mm,
I just said, throwing all caution to the wind, and Kyle looked really strong coming out of this. Um,
he did. Yeah, he
and
really did.
the match was solid. And I think it shows that Cal Fletcher can go with like these top guys. He can go with an Okada, so he absolutely is deserving of a push. But going back to your point about the Callis family, it's so weird. I agree how they're being presented at the moment.
Mm.
Like ever since Osprey's kind of headed onto the scene, it's just Like they have like a massive identity crisis because
Yeah.
everyone hates Callis, but the wrestlers in the family are so good.
Mm.
Mainly just Fletcher and Takeshita. Everyone else is kind of irrelevant. But like, um,
They're irrelevant because they're not really doing anything, and it's like
yeah.
why should we even care? So yeah, the presentation is definitely weird.
But they're so over that it's just such a weird disconnect.
Yeah.
And like I say, at the start when it was Takeshita, they sort of had that bit where they were doing tape watching and they were analyzing their opponents and stuff. And so Callis kind of had more of like a presence because he's like this mentor, this brain, and he'd be like on comms or at the side, like being like, "Oh yeah, remember what we talked about? Remember this thing?" And then they
Mm.
do it. But now it just
It's not even that, is it?
it's just yeah, it's just so bizarre. But I think if it was me, like I'd be happy to kind of go in a new direction with the Callis family because I feel like there's so many heel factions at the moment. Like
Mm.
we don't need another heel faction. I'm
Mm.
not saying turn them face or anything like that, but I guess maybe it is for the best that we're kind of just they're in limbo at the minute because
Yeah.
what the hell would you even do with them if you were to build them up? Because obviously Mox has got this, you assume a heel leaning faction. You've got the elite, you've got the patriarchy,
Yeah, we don't
you've got
need
like the Bang Bang
more.
Gang, which are kind of heel facing.
Mm.
Um, House of Black, like what? There's just so many. It's such a heel dominated um show, and that's not even contending the single stars. That yeah,
Yeah, I guess they're kind of going in the more of the direction with like I don't know, you might disagree, but with like Prince Nana and maybe even William Regal, where it's like they're not. It's just sort of like they're sort of a neutral mentor type of thing, like you said, and they're sort of there to provide the guidance and s- whether you boo or cheer them, like it's not really about them, it's about the wrestlers, and I quite like that. It's different than having a manager who gets involved and causes shit all the time.
I like that. But if you've established Callis as one thing, and then to this,
Yeah,
it's
that
a
is
very
true.
sharp transition. Like I'm totally fine with that being the transition. But if you're still coming out to like thunderous boos,
Yeah.
it's it's just bizarre. Unless they're gonna maybe do something in the future with like a storyline of them tearing away from the Callis family, like Fletcher wanting to like follow in Osprey's footsteps or something like that.
He still needs his favour from Will Ospreay.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever getting that. Yeah, I've kind of lost faith on that.
Nah, that's in my head. That's in my head. It's gonna come back. It's
It's
got
gonna
to.
come back. Long-term booking. Speaking of Prince Nana, the next segment was Swerve and Nana. They were buying back Swerve's childhood home. Now that you know he's world champion, he is
Sign that
making that
contract.
coin. Yeah, he got
Sign
that
that
back.
big
So you were just
contract.
thinking like, oh, that's wholesome.
Yeah, that's
That's nice.
pretty random, but good for you. We're like capitalizing on the big news story of the week, which was all the controversy around him signing a very expensive contract, and apparently Triple H has
Yeah.
said that he's not worth it or whatever. So I
We
guess
said that
like
it's not good for the business.
yeah,
Wrestlers being paid a lot of money is not good for the
it's
business.
not good for the business because they don't value him at that price, which is just a ridiculously stupid concept. Um, but I was kind of just thinking. I mean, I'd seen the spoilers. I knew what was going to happen, but I was just thinking, oh, if I'd seen, only you watched it like live. I don't know, but I was kind of like, you got this big news story. You're addressing that in sort of backhand sort of way, and that was
Yeah.
maybe it at this moment.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think like I think with Hunter and I think with Swerve, it's always been like a little bit more personal. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
just it didn't work out in WWE. I think Swerve has always talked about how he really wanted that validation from Hunter and he really wanted to be one of his NXT boys, and he
Hmm.
wasn't. And Hunter didn't see that potential. And I think that Hunter still feels like that. So while I think like it's to the point of that old school thinking of, not everyone should be making big money, like only the big stars should be making big money. And everyone's kind of got different philosophies on that. I guess it depends like what you value and what I don't know like what you think. Like some people think that they should be paid based on like in the old school days, house attendance and pay-per-view
Mm,
buy-in rates and things like that, and to a
yeah, yeah.
percentage. And obviously we don't live in that world
It's not simple
anymore.
as that.
But I do think it's more personal, and I think yeah, like I could totally see it being a little dig because I think Swerve would take that quite personally. And I think, like I said, Hunter, it's not necessarily about the general point of wrestlers shouldn't be paid a lot. I think it's more personal of like Swerve shouldn't be like paid a
Yeah,
lot because
yeah,
I think he does think like he's overhyped. This is just me reading in between the lines, being a typical annoying wrestling fan, like reading in between the lines and
yeah.
just probably creating drama. But
No,
that's
but
just kind of the way I see the situation.
I think you're right. I think that's the way that most people have took it, is that he doesn't. It is like a personal sort of thing, if true. Big if
Which
true.
is so weird because
Yeah.
Swerve is so good.
How
And it's
can
like,
it?
why can't you just hold your hand up and be like, like he was like I overlooked this talent, but it's almost like he
Yeah,
can't admit that because if he admits that
yeah.
Swerve
It's
stocks is that
defensive.
high, it shows that he didn't see that talent in him
Yeah,
in NXT. And Hunter's a massive fucking Mac, and he's always prided himself on like having that eye for
yeah.
that talent
Spotting the
and
talent.
pushing the undeserved, the like the not the undeserved, but the deserving talent that was handed a shit hand in like the McMahon era when he came
Mm.
back. He's kind of always prided himself like that. So I guess it's like admitting to yourself and that you were wrong, and
Yeah,
he
and
can't do
obviously
that, it seems.
obviously he can't do that. We know egos in wrestling are fucking huge, and it's like when you know you're wrong but you don't want to admit it, so you just go on the defensive instead. It seems like that, but pure speculation though. But I mean, very tone deaf, considering how can you? I assume he hasn't watched All In, otherwise you would see how over he was, how brilliant that match was in the main event. Former world champion, it's doesn't add up.
Yeah. Next up we got Hater. She was in another squash match with Robin Renegade. She got a bit of a fencing, but Hater won with the Haterade. This was just like nothing, like I said earlier, it wasn't really anything of note. Um,
No, it wasn't.
I don't want to go back into like the full hair spiel because we kind of went into like our full thoughts last week, and we would just be repeating ourselves.
Mm,
In that
yeah.
it's like you've brought her back and you have nothing to give her, and it's just a bit of a waste of a comeback, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. We had Saraya like watching the match at an unnatural angle, that typical wrestling thing where they're watching the TV like this, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So maybe they're planting some sort of seeds there. But yeah, I mean, well, yeah, we already know they've got that the thing that they're trying to build up, try to continue that in an indirect way. But it was just really boring, and it was basically. I mean, it wasn't a squash match because, as you say, she got some offense in, but it was exceptionally short, and she got that jobber entrance where it's like, and already in the ring, this person. So it just, yeah, it was nothing of note, and it was pretty forgettable, sadly.
So next up, we had Roderick Strong popping off to Christopher Daniels about who would have guessed his the
Oh
botched
yeah,
finish to his bloody match where he had his foot on the
yeah.
rope.
I did
Uh,
forget about this segment, but now that you said, I do remember this, and
yeah, we
yeah,
all try to forget the FTW Chris Jericho segments. We all try to bury it deep. Hook says he's not wrong, and they decide to settle it. He's like, "We'll settle it tonight." Roddy says, "Nope." He'll call for the title shot soon, and that was that. Really, just I understand, like as I said earlier, the heel cooking the crowd out of a match. I get that, but like it was just wank. Like what? Like you're like I want this title shot, and then it's like, oh, but I'll take it another time. It didn't make
yeah,
sense
it
like
don't
in the
make sense.
context of.
Yeah, because if you that angry about the outcome of your last match and you really want this title, you just take it as soon as you could. And if not, have it at the pay-per-view, which is this weekend,
Yeah, I don't know
surely.
if they've announced that. We'll have to check because
I
we're going to do
don't
the
know.
predictions after this, so we'll have to check the card to see whether that. I reckon that'll be like slotted onto fucking 0 hour or something.
Yeah, most
Um,
likely.
yeah. a load of shite. Moving on. Marina, Shafir, and Mox are making their way backstage again. We're getting that takedown, that
Yeah,
action movie takedown of
kicking
the
asses.
stagehands kicking asses. And they see the Bucks and Jack Perry, and
Very cute.
Mox called Jack Perry a sweet kid.
Very
And
cute.
Jack Perry kind of broke character and grinned. It was so cute. It was so cute.
What a wholesome interaction.
And then Mox comes out and he just bigged up Darby Allin and talked about how wrestling is a privilege, and Darby understands that, and he says he just wants to talk. He will apply pressure, but he just wants to talk. So again, this is just sort of plodding along. I have no issue with it. Like I'm just like, yeah, like I'm here for the ride. Like I'm fine if they don't. I know it was like similar to last week, but I'm like, it's the go home show. So like I think it's fine to just like, it's like lighting a candle, let that candle burn in the background. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
it
We don't
I
need to
think
rush it.
yeah, like I'm like, okay, like I'm sure the progression will happen after All Out, because then it would just be disjointed and take up too much time on the show. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than like what we said last week about like all of our speculations and stuff as to what he wants to talk. I mean, I'm getting the vibe that he wants to recruit him. But it all depends on, I guess, Darby Allin's response. Like you said, he doesn't seem like the type who would join this sort of anti-AEW vigilante group when he's like Mr. fucking AEW. And obviously this has to lead him to a world title shot, because that's like what's going around. So yeah, I mean, let's just see what happens.
Did you notice as well the camera zoomed in on that next world champ, like about Derby? There
Yeah.
was like some person holding that sign, so that's kind of like, yeah, that's obviously deliberate, isn't it? Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it's nice to have this like slow burn. If you'd rushed it and tried to shove something in it all out, it would have really sucked and like got lost in the background of all that.
Yeah.
Because they're leaving it to sort of stew and like you've got more questions and answers, that keeps it at the forefront of your mind without taking away from anything else. So you're intrigued to find out what's going to happen next. But yeah, really, really different, but good. And I don't know if I'm just not remembering properly, but I love Mox's tattoos, and I feel like some of them look like they were new, and I don't remember seeing them like before.
Yeah.
They're very nice. So that's that. Just a completely meaningless.
You always notice his aesthetics. You're like, he got a haircut. I'm like, I didn't even notice. It's
And
just like if
the
you're a
ear
BCC
piercing,
girl, you just notice things, I guess.
I pay close attention to that screen, let me tell you.
But yeah, it's. I think it's like I said last week, that this is very clearly a thread that is for the end of this year. We
Yeah,
all know that saying of, oh, all the big in life, all the big plot holes happen at the end of the year. It's so fucking true in real life. It's so true, and it's so true in wrestling as well. In AEW, it seems like with World's End always, well, since last year, not always, but since last year, it's like used as like a climax point. So yeah, it's not an all out thing. It's not a blood feud.
yeah.
It's a different storyline. We're wrapping up storylines A. This is like a new B storyline. So
Yeah,
yeah, not much to say, but by no means any criticism, I think, is what we're
yes,
saying.
yeah, exactly that.
Fuck me. Next up, uh, yeah, the learning tree. And from this, it seems like Orange Cassidy is being brought into this. This was no, sorry, I've remembered this now.
I don't remember this.
So basically, he talks about 4 years ago when they were having a little feud. They had a little they had a match, didn't they? To the conclusion of it, where it was like Orange versus the Bubbly, and they had like a mimosa. He got
Oh,
dropped in a
yeah,
mimosa. But this was the point
I
in the feud where he had
remember.
the orange juice poured over him, and it ruined his jacket. So randomly, for no fucking reason, 4 years later, he's decided that he's going to feud with Orange Cassidy over this.
Yeah. Didn't
This
they
is so
already?
shit.
I,
This
I,
is so shit.
I can't claim to remember this off the top of my head. I saw this on Twitter. Didn't they have a match about this? Like a match where it's
Yeah.
like if Orange Cassidy wins, he doesn't have to pay the money. Hasn't this already happened? We settled
Yeah.
this.
And I know it's like you can be like, oh, he's
It's
so
Jericho's character.
his character's so but it's
Petty.
like I'm so annoyed because like Orange Cassidy, especially when he was like popping his pussy in the 6 man later, like he's so fucking good. And you're gonna this is not what I wanted. I didn't want Hook to leave the Jericho Vortex only to be replaced by Orange Cassidy. Like
Yeah, one
what?
person leaves, someone else gets sucked straight back in.
Why can't someone who is equally
It
shit
was
get
shit.
sucked in?
Mm.
Like fucking Brian Cage or Sammy Guevara. Oh God, actually that'd be
Mm.
too unbearable, those two together. That's what they did for the past. Maybe that's why they were kept together the whole time. But I just, it's a shite story. Like when everything else is so good and so popping, and then you're being petty over something for 4 years ago, and you're bringing Orange Cassidy in. I can't do this anymore.
It's
Gordon
not
Ramsay, I
even
can't do this any fucking more.
it's not
Like,
like even funny in like an ironic sort of way. It's just go away.
yeah. Anyway, Mariah May versus Nyla Rose. This was for the title. This was a pretty nice match. Pretty good. And yeah, I liked the spot where she distracted Aubrey, I believe it was, and then swept the legs of Nyla on the stairs. That was pretty cool. Um, Nyla Rose is very good. It's great to see her. It'd be great to see it not just be carted out for like because she's used very similarly as like these matches to test champions or to
Yeah.
test challengers, and then commentaries like, oh, she was once a women's champion, but then it's like I don't know, it would just be nice to sort of have her not be treated like such a legacy wrestler when I feel like she
Yeah.
has so much time left. Like
Yeah. It's
what?
like it's like you're speaking about her always in the past tense. There's no
Mm,
reason why it should be like that. Why can't it be present? Like why can't she be in a big feud? Why can't she be a viable contender for the for the championship and not just in a one-off match on Dynamite?
yeah. Um, Mariah May won with the Storm Zero. So
Quite like that. She's
clearly,
using that move.
yeah, she's continuing that. So she's still continuing to antagonize Tony Storm, despite the fact that she won at Wembley. Like it's not enough. She's so clearly that's they're gonna run it back, and
Hmm.
maybe Tony will win this time. Um, yeah, it was a fun match, and I really enjoy like Mariah's great. As a wrestler in the ring. She's always been able to go, but I loved like just the ending when she was just on the floor, like kissing the title, bleeding a little bit, like looking
Mm.
like a hot mess. I'm like, you're fucking great. Like you're fucking great, man.
She really is. She's good. I'm looking forward to what she can get her teeth into next. Hopefully, it's something just as good because I know that, like you just said, she's really good, not just in the ring, but also she's proven her character work is really good too. So I hope that it's something that she can really shine in as well, like in the in her next feud too.
I think this match said that the next feud will be Tony Storm, though. That's what I took from it. The fact that it
Mm,
was a Storm Zero, like I feel like that to me told the crowd that they're running it back.
mm. Perhaps, or maybe she's just that's just part of her move set now. She's just absorbed that, like, Tony
Yeah, it's
was
almost
a
like her mentor.
yeah, yeah, exactly, and she's just sort of stolen the move from her because she
Yeah,
whatever knows how effective it is or something. I don't know.
that would be nice.
It'd be interesting to find out. There's a lot. I think I wouldn't be that mad about it either if they ran it back because they were really good. But I'd like to see her do something different.
Yeah, me too. But then I feel like Tony kind of has to wrap it up fully before she can move on. Because yeah, while I think
Yeah,
Mariah can move on, it'd be a bit weird for Tony's character to move on because she still hasn't had
true.
her revenge. So that would be a bit weird for her, I think.
Yeah, that is very true. Very
I
true.
think they need to have like a blood match with
Mm.
some kind of stipulation to kind of settle the score, and then it's done.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, it'd be really interesting because ever since her debut, she's been associated with Tony Storm. Um, so obviously she's wrestled people week to week, but we haven't really had the chance to, like you say, to have a sink her teeth into a new opponent and a new feud and how her character's going to interact with other members of the roster, like I don't know, like Julia Hart when she comes back, or
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné, or like all these interesting combinations. But she's kind of been
Mm.
in like her own little vacuum. So whenever that point is, be that her next feud or the feud after, it will be very interesting to see her interact.
Yeah, definitely. And I know she'll do amazing, like whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. Next, we've got Diana Peraza promo. This was nice. She referenced her loss in the bull rope match, and she talked about how she thought that'd be a magnum opus. It wasn't, and how she's still yet to reach that, and that set up a match for her on Collision against Shida. Yeah, pretty
Interesting.
pretty nice. I like how she's been doing her own little thing on Collision. Her and Thunder Rosa have had a nice little feud, and yeah, I like Deanna. I do feel a little bit bad for her because it was always very obvious, even when she was signed, that she was only going to get that new sign and shine for a limited amount of time
Mm,
because Mercedes came in and then that kind of stole all
mm.
of the light. Um, as it should do, like Mercedes obviously a way bigger name than Deanna, but yeah, I liked this. And it's nice that she's obviously going to lose on Saturday, but that they're still investing in her and her
Yeah.
character, and
Yeah,
I
definitely.
I enjoy Diana's wrestling, so yeah, I'm excited for the match on Saturday, Friday even.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a Friday night collision,
Yeah.
guys, because All Out's on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the commentary got that wrong a couple of times as well. So yeah, I think this was a good reminder that like the women's division has it does have depth and breadth to it. There's a lot of players in there that you could like we were just talking about with Mariah May that could be potential contenders for her and could have a really good feud. Like there's multiple people with the skills to do that. So yeah, I agree with you. This was a nice little nod to Prazzo.
Yeah, and like I say, it's that depth, and I think we needed reminding of it because
Yeah,
for All In, it was very focused on just the title matches.
exactly. Yeah,
And so it made it seem like the only women on the division were Britt Baker, Mercedes, um,
exactly. Yeah,
Mariah, Tony, and then
that's what I
Willow and Star.
mean.
Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
And there's many more, so it's nice to sort of bring them back into the mix. Next up, Mercedes. This was a nice little section of the show where it was like quite women's based. I felt like
Mm.
just yeah. Mercedes just did a simple promo, attacking Shida. Shida was on screen with Christopher Daniels, who banished Camille from ringside, which was just like, but what? How has Camille proven that like she's such a threat at ringside? Like, I feel like Camille's only been there a couple of weeks, and now we're like, she can't be there at ringside, and I'm just like. Do you know what I mean? Like, when like you
Yeah.
just feel like you're being gaslit a little bit, like, but like when has she
Yeah.
been proven to be like such a threat? Like,
Yeah,
obviously she'd
because
be an advantage being there, but like we've barely seen Camille being like a monster or Camille.
yeah, that's so true. She's not really been like violent, to be honest, has she? She's been like helping her get an upper hand in the match by like putting the opponent's foot like on the ropes, like putting Mercedes' foot on the rope, sorry. And stuff like this, like little stuff like this. But she's not been this, considering you look at her, she's so tall, she's so muscly, you'd think they'd go for the violent side, but they haven't really. And then Christopher Daniels is like, she's so dangerous. You can't be at ringside. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. Next up, Young Bucks were with Jack Perry, and they were talking about All Out. Well, it was mainly Perry's promo with the Young Bucks company. Talked about All Out 2021, where Bryan Danielson debuted, and then he went on to talk about how last year at All In, and then the fallout of him becoming the scapegoat and going to New Japan. Uh, Danielson's Sorry, I just had like a moment where like my brain just kind of like ticked over then.
Sorry.
Um, could have helped him out. But he didn't because obviously he's a major political player and how, he's gonna end his career. And I think the interesting part to me in this was the Bucks' line where they said they'll do anything. So like the
Yeah.
BCC better be ready. So obviously there's going to be a lot of interference.
Hmm.
And the thing is, like, I know that Jack Perry isn't winning the title, but like I kind of believe it in a way because I'm
Mm.
like, the Bucks will do anything. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it though. I hope that, they put on a really great match and Jack Perry's such a good wrestler though. Like, he's always been such a good wrestler, so I have no doubt and yeah, like just hope like he makes the most of his minutes and proves the naysayers are wrong.
He certainly has a lot of them. I've been seeing a lot of negativity about it on like Twitter and stuff, and that's the I don't really get it. I don't really know what he's done so wrong for people to hate him so much. Um, and I know what you mean as well, what you said about like you believe him and you believe the books. It's like we know how much power the books have got, and how could he lose with them in his corner? Like I'm getting worked. I'm getting worked,
Yeah,
so I
I'm getting
believe
work
it.
too. I'm like, oh, that'd be the ultimate fantasy if Jack Perry becomes world champion and pisses everyone off.
That might be
Um,
more unrealistic than your belief that Jay White was going to appear at Wembley. Sorry to
he
bring
was
it up.
on the screen. Like when we went in, he was on the graphic screen.
You know what? I feel like I've just jinxed it now, and I feel like Jack Perry is going to win because I've said that, and we're going to look back at this and laugh and be like, "Oh, we never saw this coming."
A major swerve coming. No, I don't think he will, but it's just like that believability in it
Hmm.
of like you believe what they say. Another thing is I felt like he did a pretty good promo. I feel like his promos have definitely
Yeah,
improved a lot. Like I know it's been like a big criticism of him is like he can't do promos and stuff, but the thing is with Jack Perry is like he is one of the homegrown talents and he had to learn on TV practically. Like, yeah, he had a bit of indie experience, but like he was
that's so true.
unexperienced compared to a lot of the other talent. And I think that's a really lovely thing. Like since AEW day one, now it's a bit because AEW is quite a more polished product. But at the start, I found that really fucking endearing. And that's why I love Jack Perry so much. Like being able to watch him grow. And I could see that like from his wrestling style, specifically in ring, just how good he was. And that's what like drew me in and made me such a big fan. And I just think it's a lovely thing to be able to watch someone grow and develop. Like I say, maybe not so much now. Um, but yeah, but some people kind of are just like, oh, they're just shit. Like they're not good at this one thing, and it's like, I don't know, I don't know. It's just like have some mercy, man. Like I say now it is coming to a point where it's like, yeah, you're being pushed and you better fucking do it. Like
Mm,
Daniel Garcia. And I do feel like Jack Perry's stepping up to the occasion, but I feel like people still have that preconceived notion of what he was like before, and they just
yeah.
can't let go of that. And so they
Yes.
won't even like allow him to grow and flourish.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Like Sammy Guevara's been shit since day one till now. No fucking development in that fucker. But like, yeah.
Yeah. We've gone from Jungle Boy to Jack Perry, you know. That's been a
Yeah.
development.
That's been a major development. Um, but yeah, then related to Danielson, he came out for commentary. It was the six-man tag time. This was really, really, really awesome. Loved the
Yes, it was.
start. We had Yuta versus Kyle. They had a really cool technical um exchange. And then Osprey versus Pac was just insanity. The way that they were moving and the way that they were reversing three moves ahead. It was just awesome.
Can't
Um,
wait for their match. It's
it's
gonna
just
be great.
crazy that like we get Osprey on week to week TV that we just get like that's just his standard of wrestling and we just get to see
Mm.
that like every week.
That's
It's
just
it's
normal for
mad.
him.
Just another day at the office.
Yeah.
I like this because I felt like everyone was showcased strongly in a six-man usually. They could have just showcased the people who are actually wrestling come all out. but they didn't. Like, everyone got their minutes, everyone got like their shit in, everyone looked good, everyone was doing something. It wasn't like one fucker just on the floor falling asleep the
Mhm.
whole match.
Mhm.
Like, everyone was involved, and that just made it come to life and become even more lively and even more action packed. Those bloody bodies flying everywhere, weren't there?
Yeah. 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 It was a really good match. I mean, every individual wrestler in this is really good in a different way, in like their own sort of unique way. And I think, yeah, like you said, they all got their chance to shine in this. So yeah, it was really good. And like as far as these tag team matches go, when you sort of squish some people together, then make them face off because there's a pay-per-view this coming weekend or whatever. I like this. I thought this was a really good example of how you can make that work. And I loved it when Yuta and Orange Cassidy like faced off and the history between them. That was really nice. So I thought it was a good. It wasn't like a lazy sort of, oh, we'll just stick this on. There was thought that went into it, and like you could tell, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
A
And
very
like
good
all the
wrestling
history.
match.
Yeah, like all the history, and you could tell just how comfortable they were with each other. Like,
Yeah,
it just flowed really, really nicely. The standouts for me were Cassidy, and Osprey. Cassidy especially, I don't know, like he just seemed to like really like have the fire this match.
the crowd were really into him, weren't they? That probably helped.
Yeah, I really liked the bit where it kind of spilled out up the ramp. Pac went for the poison rana again, but Osprey scouted
Yeah.
it. And then he was on some fucking perk angle shit where he did that cannonball off the fucking ramp. I'm like, whoa, like you're doing like Kenny Omega shit, like early AW Kenny Omega shit, perk angle shit. Like he's even
Chill.
like even his fucking attire's looking very Omega-esque, like peak Omega. I'm
Mm,
like you know, just
maybe that
untouchable
maybe that's a
era. I'm
sign.
like,
Maybe that's on
yeah.
purpose.
Um, And then I really liked the beach break with the assistance of Kyle, and then they did the joint strikes. And I know they're in the conglomeration together, but I thought these two should just be like a tag, like just them two. Like they work
Mhm.
together so well, like so well, and they feed off each other so well. So I'd be so into that if they just kind of split off and did their own thing. Love
Yeah,
Matt
and
Briscoe though.
true, yeah, true. But I mean, like we talked about, the tag division spread pretty thin between the trios and the tag team.
Mm.
Like the tag team championship. So yeah, they're a nice pairing.
And then I bet you like the ending.
I love the ending. I love the ending. I wasn't expecting that to be the end because normally it's not. So Claudio did the big swing, and
Yeah,
then Wheeler, hit the drop kick
punctuated it.
as the end of it. Yeah, he put that punctuation mark on it. And like they do that a lot, and it doesn't normally finish the match, but it did. I was like, oh, okay. I was very pleasantly surprised. I love that. I mean, we all know how how much strength it takes to do the swing, and like it would fucking hurt, wouldn't it? It would send you absolutely loopy. So yeah, I like seeing that as a finisher. I can't remember the last time I've seen him use that as like the end of the match, but love that. Love that for both of them. My the two Blackpool Combat Club girlies.
Yeah, it was great. And Danielson came out because obviously he's been on comms to celebrate. Then there was an elite beatdown. Jack Perry was set up to have a chair shot to Danielson, but he was overwhelmed. Cesaro says, "You kids made the biggest mistake of your life." Something about like in wrestling, it cracks me up when they just call each other kids, and I'm like, what are you on about? This is like a 40-year-old man. Like,
Yeah, for real. Like they're basically the same age as well. That just reminds me of earlier in the night. MJF made some sort of similar comment to Daniel Garcia, and I was like, I got to look up the ages of these guys just to because I swear to God they're like the same age. And MJF is
yeah.
3 years older than Daniel Garcia, and he
Like
said,
Garcia our age.
yeah, he's 25. MJF is
Yeah.
28. So it's like it's just like you got no right to be looking down on these people like they're so young when they're usually literally the same age.
Like one of those
But
stupid wrestling things.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
Then they got a "you fucked up" chant, and the Bucks were like, "It's a family show," which
Yeah, I
cracked me
love
up.
that. It was so funny.
And then it was basically Cesaro was like, "Me and you are going to take on the Bucks for the title." And
Some more gold.
Danielson says he's gonna kick Jack Perry's fucking head in. So yeah.
Are we still going to be friends after this? This might be the end of the
Um,
podcast. Less than a year. Rest in
I
peace, too
don't
soon.
I don't think they're winning the title, so you know. Dream on, dream on.
It's an interesting concept, isn't it? That they're like the trios champions, and now they're like, oh, I'm going after these ones as well. It's a
Yeah,
bit. It sort of
very
proves your
ambitious.
point of what you were saying that it's. I've already said it, but it's spread thinly, like the tag team division between these two
Yeah.
belts. So sort of proves that. But like biased, I mean, I'm all here for it. Maybe if it was someone else, I'd be more skeptical. But I'm just happy to see my boys on
Yeah,
the
I'm just happy
card.
to have them on the card. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm just happy to see them be on there and like the Bucks wrestle and stuff. So I don't really. And obviously it ties into the fact the main event, which is Danielson taking on Jack Perry. So it's
yeah.
not
I
it's
like how
not
it all
like
ties together in that
completely
sort of
yeah,
way.
it ties together sort of thing. Um Next, we had Pac and Ospreay because, as I said, they went off on their own. They were brawling backstage, and then Pac did a suplex to Ospreay on the boxes, which was just disgusting. And like,
Mm.
why are we doing this? Why are we doing this
On a Wednesday night.
on a Wednesday night? Um, and then went on to the closing segment of the show. This was a contract signing between Hangman and Swerve, their steel cage match mediated by Shivani. Um, Hangman had a false entrance 2 times. They ran it back, and then it flashed up to Hangman being in Swerve's childhood home, um, and basically saying like your father didn't love you and regrets having him. So
That's why he turned out the
rude,
way he did.
real. Um, and then he said he should never have been born. Um, and he didn't say word for word, but he basically said, you asked me, am I going to choose hate or legacy? Am I going to choose like peace or am I going to choose success? And he's like, well, I'm going to choose hate. And then he just set the house on fire while drinking a beer. While Swerve and Nana were just losing their minds in the
I
ring.
mean, oh my
Great shot.
God. Oh my God. The cinematography of this, like him just in the foreground with this fucking house had just blown up. And then, you preempted this with Swerve emotionally being like, this house, I grew up in this house, and then it got, what I can't remember the word, it like got taken off him because he couldn't pay the bills when he was a teenager. And that was really sad
Mm.
to him, and he wanted to, that was like his goal. He wanted this childhood home back, and he finally did it. And then this bastard comes along and fucking burns it down. Swerve's having a breakdown in the middle of the ring. I feel like this is the type of thing, if I'd watched it when I was a kid, it would have really traumatized me. And I'm glad that, like,
Triple H with the sledgehammer.
yeah, like, I'm glad that we can talk about this because it's like therapy. I got to get this off my chest. This was like scarring and emotional and really, I mean, it's just like the perfect icing on the cake for this feud. These two,
This is the kind of shit that, like, if I watched this when I was 11, I would have posted on Facebook and been like, oh, OMG,
yeah.
guys, can't believe
Can you
that
believe?
Swerve's house just got set alight.
Yeah,
And everyone would be like, what the fuck?
it would have like.
It
I
would have
mean,
made a Facebook status. That's the impact it would have had.
yeah, you would have thought about it. It would have stuck in your head. But I think even as an adult, it's going to stick in my head for a long time because how impactful and just that visual of the flames.
Yeah. And the line and the fact of just how fucking trippy is it? He burnt down Swerve's house. He burned
Yeah.
down Swerve's house, like Swerve's house, and he
So
burnt
now,
it down, and it's like a metaphor, and it's
yeah.
like the
And now
fuck?
every time the crowd
What?
goes Swerve's house, he's going to be reminded of it. So it's like he's took away that like chant from the fans, like that. Oh, Prince Nana uses this to rile him up to get him back in the match. You can't do that now because if he does that, it's just going to remind him of the whole fucked up situation.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And obviously, mirroring the fact that he went into Hangman's house, but Hangman burnt his down, took
Yeah,
it to the next level. Um, but yeah, a fantastic ending. To a really solid Dynamite, to be honest with
yeah.
you. What is your thoughts on a rating?
God, I don't even know. I do want to say that I think that I don't know if this is hyperbole, and you can tell me if you disagree. But I do think that Swerve burning down that house is going to go down as like one of the most iconic moments in wrestling, like ever. Because I think that is so memorable, and it was just perfect. And their feud is one of the best. Um,
Yeah, it's one of the best feuds that AEW has ever done,
yeah.
for
With that in
sure.
mind, like it was excellent Dynamite, and it was building up for All Out, coming off All In. Everything. I didn't ever feel like it was disjointed because you got these two pay-per-views so close together. It was really good. I did enjoy it a lot. It wasn't perfect, and we were talking about the some of the women's stuff was there was quite a lot of nice women's stuff, but the Jamie Hayter match was pretty unremarkable. I don't know, I want to say
The women's
maybe
stuff
yeah.
just isn't really like other than another thing is where the hell are Willow and Stat? Because like if you're gonna have anything that's
Yeah.
like the blood feud, it's Willow and Stat. So
She
I
just
found
sort of
that
appeared.
a bit weird.
Willow was just on screen for like 2 seconds in that Conglomerate interview. She didn't say anything, did she? So yeah. I want to say like maybe a 9. What do you
I
think?
think that shows just how long the street fight's gonna be. Yeah, I
Mm.
totally agree with a 9. That was what I was thinking as well. Like it was
Yeah.
really great go home show, but um, a 9 is fucking like solid. Like I think the highest we've given is like 9.5. Like a 9
Yeah.
is super high. Great start, great ending. The wrestling was awesome. Carl
It really
Fletcher,
was.
Okada was awesome. The six man was awesome. Women's stuff was a bit weak. Not bad, but not to the standard that it was before All In. Everything's just kind of fizzled out a little bit, which is fine. Um, but at the same time, you could have done something with Will and Stark because that's like your hot feud. Um, but other than that, like yeah, solid.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. I mean, like we said at the very start, it just went really fast. Like it was all go all the time, and we're building up to a lot of really intense stuff, and that ending is just like it's just gonna solidify it. It's gonna be one of the most memorable Dynamites just because of not just because of that, because obviously we just talked about the whole show and how good it was, but that moment in itself, that's gonna live forever. So yeah. So we'll get into some predictions then for All Out. I know a lot of the card was just announced on Dynamite, so I'm sure there's probably still some other stuff to come as well, but we'll work with what we've got at the moment. So first of all, we've got Will Ospreay versus Pac for the International Championship.
I
Who you
think
got?
Osprey is gonna win. I think he's gonna continue
Agreed.
his his streak of yeah, just continuing his high. I wonder if he'll use the Tiger Driver again.
Yeah, I wonder. Or maybe that was just for Max. We'll see,
Yeah, just
yeah.
for Max sort of thing. I think this match will absolutely bang. Obviously, in the six
Yeah.
man, their little bit was a great little trailer of what is to come. Would love for Pac to get the win and for Pac to sort of get that push. And BCC have a bit more goal, but I don't know. I just feel like we're still riding the momentum of Osprey right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We're on the Will Ospreay high, aren't we? So yeah, I think Will Ospreay's winning this one as well. Okay, so next up we have the Young Bucks versus the Blackpool Combat Club for the World Tag Team Championships. I mean, I'm just for the sake of argument and for got to back my boys. I'm going to say the BCC. Do I think they're going to win? Probably not, but why not back them?
I respect that. I do respect that. But no, the Bucks are winning. Just as we're riding out the Osprey wave, we're continuing to ride out the Elite wave. So yeah, but I think it'll be a very nice match.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll still be friends afterwards. Um, yeah, the next one after that we have Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander. It's a Chicago street fight.
I think Willow's gonna win. She's the face in the whole situation.
It's been going on a long time.
Been going on a long time.
I think we need a nice, satisfying payoff.
Yeah, agreed. It's so weird though, because I feel like from this, Stat hasn't really gotten much out of it, despite being the one with the new manager, new character, and she was the one that got the heel turn. So you'd think that she'd move along further, but I feel like Willow is gonna win this feud and then they're gonna transition her into a title scene. I don't know whether that'd be against Mercedes again or
Yeah,
Mariah or what, but I think,
love that.
we've got two heel women's champions at the moment, and Willow's a great face.
Yes.
She's best when she's fired up. So yeah, I could just see Willow winning and then going on, and I can just see, unfortunately, Start losing and not really going on to do much after, which is a shame that it kind of worked out that way. But yeah, I think like especially like how it went down at All In, and then how I predict it to go down
Yeah,
All Out.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I agree with you. I think what you said about Willow, like going on to feuds either with Mariah or with Mercedes, I'd be happy with either of those. Yes, let them
Yeah.
cook, whichever direction you want to go with that. It's a shame about Chris, like coming off probably looking pretty weak out of this, but
She got the oh my God, why have I forgotten his name?
Stokely.
No, she got the Trent Beretta treatment. It's literally Trent Beretta and Orange
Oh,
Cassidy. It's literally the same thing.
so
And I
funny.
said this, and you guys told me, wait, because the payoff's gonna be amazing. They're gonna have this amazing big blowout, and it's gonna be Trent with such prestige. And I said, no, it's not, because they're on the fucking pre-show. And look at where we are. And on Saturday, it'll be a fucking 10-minute long street fight. I said, okay, I knew how this was gonna go. Exactly like Trent Beretta and Chucky T and Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy. It's the same thing. And the face of bloody Cassidy and Willow, who are conveniently in the same bloody faction at the minute,
Yeah,
you know,
very,
yeah.
very valid.
And you think you'd learn from your mistakes from doing that attempt at a mid-card feud. You'd think you'd learn your mistakes, but clearly you didn't.
Apparently not.
But maybe we're wrong. Maybe Stat will win, and maybe that'd be better if Stat wins, because maybe that'd be like better for a character. But I don't know. Just like I said, that's my prediction for what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I sadly think that you're right, but hope not. We shall see. Next up, we have Okada versus To Be Decided. It's going to be a four-way match for the Continental Championship. So who is going to challenge him is going to be decided on Collision this week.
You're not announced who's going to be in that.
No. So it's going to be we're going to have Orange Cassidy versus Brian Keith, Lance Archer versus Mark Briscoe, and Takeshita versus the Beast Mortals to decide who's going to be in that match. So hopefully
Yeah.
Takeshita.
Yeah. So basically Takeshita, guys. That'll be sick though. Like Takeshita and Okada facing off the ace and like the ace of New Japan. I know that's Tanahashi, but like really the ace of New Japan, the second coming ace of, and then like him. You guys know what I mean. Like it that would be sick.
Yes.
And
I guess
love my boy Takeshita.
probably you get Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe in that too. So then you
Yeah.
get Conglomeration like reps.
What are you talking about? Beast Mortos. It's obviously going to be Beast Mortos. What are you on about?
He's gonna destroy Okada in this one.
Yeah, he's the dark horse, but Okada's retaining.
Yeah, I feel like not knowing who's going to be in the match at this point just sort of suggests that quite strongly that
Yeah.
he's going to return. I don't see him losing to any of these people. So we're agreed on that. Next up we have MJF versus Daniel Garcia. Just a straight up
Daniel Garcia. Daniel
wrestling
Garcia is,
match.
especially the way it finished. Max has had gotten way more up on Daniel Garcia than Daniel Garcia's managed to get up on
Mm,
Max.
yeah.
And as I said last week, I don't think Max is ready for the monster that he's created in the same way that Swerve.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little bit more after what happened on Dynamite, but the monsters that these people have created by manipulating them.
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, and I think it's going to be great because I think Max is just going to go darker. He's just going to go darker from this, and I think that's what he
Mm,
needs. And Daniel Garcia is going to come out of it looking like a fucking star. But I'm scared for this match. Like I'm scared for this match, and I'm scared for bloody Swerve and Hangman because I'm like they're gonna hurt each other. Like
yeah.
I feel like I'm 10 years old and it's real. It's real again. I'm like they're gonna hurt each other.
I
Like
know, and it's like you
no,
don't
like
want
someone needs
them.
to sanction this shit. Like what
Yeah.
is going on?
Need to protect them from themselves. Yeah, for sure. It'll be a banger. It'll be a banger, and hopefully they don't get seriously injured, but they're gonna pull out all the stops, definitely. And it's weird because I think maybe MJF needs to lose this for the sake of
I agree.
his character going forward, and just like you said, getting more dark, more unhinged, and more desperate. Whereas Daniel Garcia definitely needs the win. Like,
Hmm.
where does he go from a loss? I have no idea, but he really does need this win, and I think he, yeah, I think he's
Yeah,
gonna
and
win.
maybe if Osprey retains, which I think he will, Daniel Garcia is due that international
Oh
title shot, so maybe
yeah,
he swings back round to there, and now he's like
yeah,
ready to face his mentor because he's kind of gone through the trials of Maxwell. So maybe that's
yes.
where you progress it.
Logically, I think that would be spot on. I mean, that makes sense. You got the history there, so hopefully, yeah. Next up, we have Mercedes Moné versus Hikaru Shida for the TBS Championship with Camille banned from ringside.
Mercedes is winning
Yeah, we're
again,
coming off
like riding the
her big,
high.
yeah, her big feud with Britt Baker. We've not really had much of a fallout from that, and it's just too early
Yeah,
to.
they've completely ignored that that even happened. A lot of people have been talking about that, how, like Britt Baker, she's not been present at all. And,
Mm,
you know, other than the
yeah, what do you
CEO
think of that?
backstage celebration, which was like a comedy segment with Okada, like Britt Baker has no presence. So a lot of people have speculated on it.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
knows? I don't. Yeah, I've heard some
Bad vibes,
rumors.
guys.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that I don't want to like spread, but like just pure speculation about nonsense, just Britt Baker negativity, you know. So
Yeah, like almost I don't know. Like I think there's one of the speculation been going around that it's like she's getting buried for having a bad match
mm,
and that the blame's all on her.
which
Um,
we've talked about. We
I
disagree with.
don't know, like my take on it is it's a partial burial of like you didn't step up, not my opinion, but you didn't step up when we needed you and I made the right decision and you're losing. But
Mm,
also maybe to just kind of protect her mental health, maybe to just kind of take a step back
yeah,
because
yeah,
I think like the go away he might be quite strong. So maybe it's just like for the best for her to just sort of take like a back seat and just like ride it out and
yeah. So
something
true.
like that.
So true. That's valid. Well, then again, you know, it's only been 2 weeks. Maybe she's just having a little rest. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's not that
Yeah.
deep. Um. So yeah, I think we're both agreed that Mercedes is probably going to beat Shida. But no doubt it's probably going to be a great match. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So next up we have the AEW World Championship match, Danielson versus Jack Perry. Uh,
Danielson is gonna
yeah.
win. Danielson's not gonna like fucking when he loses a title, he retires. He's not gonna retire the week after he's won it. Like, no way.
Yeah,
But
agreed. We've already talked about this, haven't we?
yeah.
I
Excited for the
think,
shenanigans.
yeah, me too. I think, yeah, we're going to probably get the Elite and the BCC getting involved. I think the only way that like Jack Perry could possibly win this is if Tony Khan goes an absolute mad one and he goes on Twitter and he's like, "Fuck all these guys saying he's not going to win. Right, we're putting the fucking strap on you. Let's do this. Let's fuck these lot." But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But if it was going to happen, I think that would be the situation.
Yeah.
Him just wanting
I
to prove
mean,
people wrong.
I think because they're trying to build the Mox thing up, and I think the Mox thing
Yeah.
is gonna have fallout to Danielson, and then it's gonna be like a crisis of the BCC before Danielson leaves as
Mm,
well. Like I don't know, like 'cause if Jack Perry
mm,
wins, I don't know. I don't think it's like off the cards. Like I don't think in the recent future it's off the cards, but I just yeah, 100% Danielson's winning. But I it'd be great to see him have a great match and make some people eat their own words.
mhm.
That's kind of my hopes for this match.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Finally, we have the unsanctioned lights out steel cage match. Swerve versus Hangman. Who you got?
Hangman.
Hangman.
Is that you
I don't.
agreeing to Hangman or just repeating?
I no, I don't know because I've not really thought about this in terms of oh my God, who's going to win the match. I've just been along for the ride, just enjoying what's happening, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh shit, might have to come to an end now. And who's going to ultimately come out on top? Gosh, I don't know.
I
Give
don't think
me
it'll ever
reasons
truly
for
end though.
Hangman. Go on, what?
Hangman because he hasn't like had that final win over Swerve. Swerve's lost the
Mm,
title, so he's already on a downer, and he needs to go further down. I think he needs to kind of become like I think him losing the title and then getting beat by Hangman, it won't make him crazy. It won't have that effect. It'll just like make him have like a question of character and like that the sad boy era that like they enter. And I feel
yeah.
like that contemplative era. And then who knows? Maybe he goes face, maybe he goes heel. I don't know. But I think that's like the next stage for Swerve's character. And I think like yeah, for Hangman, he needs to beat him and get his full vengeance. And like I say, I think when they're in the ring together, yeah, he's burnt his house down, but I think like the anger, like there's just no way. Like I just think Hangman is just gonna absolutely annihilate him. And I don't think Swerve's gonna be ready for it. I
Mm.
really don't.
Yeah, it's like Swerve's created this monster, but he's not ready for it. And Hangman's been like this different level of aggression recently. And
Yeah.
he didn't get that win in the gauntlet match. So he's like laser focused on he's got this chance now to end it. Well, end it. We'll see. But as far as they're concerned, this could be the last chance. So yeah, you've convinced me. You've convinced me. I
Yeah, I
agree.
think it'll come around in the future, like in a few years, because I think it'll just be one of those
Mm,
things, and I don't think it's going to wrap it up with a neat bow, because I think then the script's flipped and then Swerve wants his revenge on Hangman and you run it back a few years later and
mm,
it's just like the gift that just keeps on giving. But yeah, and then after you've got this maniacal Hangman who's won and he's just like he's ready for like the next challenge. And I don't necessarily know what that is, but yeah, it's just like it's just where my where my heart's going. I think we're gonna get lots of callbacks to the death match. Who knows? Maybe he's gonna hang Swerve this time. I don't know.
I want some blood drinking. I want it all, plus more. I'm
Plus
so
more.
ready. I'm so excited.
Yeah, because in that match, like Hangman was he was booed, but he was like the valiant face in that, you know. And now it's like it's a completely different match because it has a completely different dynamic to it, and that's why I don't think that Swerve's gonna win.
It's just flipped
because in that match he was he was the one fucking stapling himself, grinning maniacally at Hangman. But this time it's like Hangman will like destroy himself to destroy Swerve.
Yes, like, that's so valid. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, but it's just so excited.
Yeah, this is like one of these feuds where I have to remind myself that wrestling's fake. It's like it's acting. Swerve wasn't really having a meltdown because his childhood home was burnt down. Like it's acting. It's not real. Like it just I don't know. It works me. It works me.
Yeah, the emotions and that.
Yeah, but that's the sign of a good storytelling, isn't it? So that's all the matches that are officially announced so far. So if we've missed any out, that's the internet's fault. So yeah, I guess that's everything for this week. We've covered this week's Dynamite and our predictions, so we will be back pretty soon with the All Out review. As soon
Sunday
as
night.
Yeah,
hopefully.
as soon as we can. Yeah. And
get your predictions in.
Yeah, please let us know
below.
if you agree or disagree with all of our predictions. We're interested to hear. And if you are new around here, just know that like we're really receptive to feedback, so we want to know what you think. So if something you do like, something you don't like, please let us know what you think, so that we can improve. Because we are quite new to this. I mean, we've had it feels like we've been doing this for a while. Like it's very natural, it's very fun, but we are still new to it. So please let us know what you want to see. If you've got any questions, anything you want us to cover, any topics you think will be interesting for us to cover, then let us know. We do. But at the moment, we're trying to do one sort of themed video a month where we go off and talk about a different topic. So if you've got any ideas for that, let us know. But yeah, other than that, leave a like, make sure you're subscribed, and follow, rate on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify. And thank you for all the support. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb!